So, Congresswoman, I totally remember meeting you now almost 2 years ago when you were running for your first full term. And so you are like freshman full term, hit the ground rolling. I remember spending Election Day 2024 with you. You were a bold, fearless leader. You on your election day hosted Black women and received higher heights on election day, and you hit the ground running. And then we find ourselves in a fight because you are a bold leader. We are looking at a week where you and your team went into court trying to get a very serious set of charges dismissed. So let's start a little bit about how are you feeling about this week? And then we want, for those who may not be paying attention, because there's 1,000 things happening around protecting this democracy, rolling back rights, arresting Congresswomen, share a little bit about why we're here, what happened, and then we'll talk a little bit about why this matters to all of us.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. It's always great to be with Higher Heights. Good to see everyone. This week I am honestly the honest answer, and I'm sure all of the viewers on can attest. I am exhausted. I'm really exhausted. I probably could sleep a week, just from exhaustion. And it could be because I'm carrying, a 6 month baby at this point, but also too just because of the world and what we're seeing happen in our country this week alone with my case has been one thing, but then it's just blow after blow, with this administration and this president. And so it's exhausting, not just for me, but for many Americans. Many folks are familiar with my story of me showing up last May to conduct oversight, at a place called Delaney Hall in my district. It is a ICE detention center, one of the first ones to open up under Trump 2.0. And it has a $1 billion contract. It's a private prison industry ran by Geo Group. And they've been absolutely horrible. I went there last May to inspect this facility to do oversight with two of my colleagues, which as a member of Congress, we have the right to do so. And that turned into a whole chaotic situation that was created by ICE, where they ended up arresting unlawfully the mayor of the largest city in New Jersey, Mayor Ras Baraka, and then ultimately, did a whole bunch of bad stuff that day, but then ended up charging me with two felony counts and a misdemeanor. And so at this point, I've been fighting these charges that can land me in jail for 17 years. And literally, it is just what this administration does, right? I think we've seen them, I was the first one back last May, but literally we've seen them attack people who they do not like, who they do not agree with, who is their opposition, who holds them accountable, who is their biggest critic. And I'm just one of those people on that list. And they continue to come after me. And so we've been fighting these charges. This week we were in front of the Third Circuit Court in Delaware, asking for these charges to be thrown out due to legislative immunity and, vindictive prosecution. And so we have said that from day one. We're in the second stretch of this fight, and we're really confident in our argument, confident in what happened in court yesterday. And we're just waiting on the judge's decision, the panel of judges' decisions at this point, to see how that goes. And prayerfully, it'll go in a way that we want it to go. And if it doesn't, we're going to still be in this fight, fighting to the next step of this.
Yeah. So I want to break down a couple of pieces before we pivot about your continued fight. So why is legislative immunity important?
So a lot of people don't understand this, but I'm happy you asked that question, Glynda. It's very important because one, it gives members of Congress and the Senate the ability to do their job to hold this administration accountable. The founding fathers who created this terminology and this rule basically did not want people to be prosecuted or treated differently, or anything foul of an executive branch for members of the legislature to do their job of the legislative branch. And that is why legislative immunity is so important, because it gives your elected members, rather in the Senate or the House, the ability to do oversight and to do their legislative duties, which that's the whole reason why you elect people of Congress and the Senate, is to do a job, right? Is to deliver and make sure that we're conducting oversight. And so as we've always said, Glynda, and you know this because you've heard me say it multiple times, it's bigger than just about LaMonica McIver. Yes, they're choosing this young Black woman to prosecute and to, make an example out of me. But at the end of the day, this will affect and, do harm to literally every member of Congress, both Republicans and Democrats and independents. And it will be based off who is getting prosecuted on who is the president, who is in charge at the time, and how they weaponize, right, our departments, like the Department of Justice, to go after people that they do not like and to do their bidding and their vendetta work. And so that's why it's important.
Yeah. And then back last May when y'all did that oversight visit in Delaney, it was actually a flashpoint moment, right? So the clash outside, the media, and obviously all the things that happened since then, including you having to, fight in the court of law for your right to do your duty as a congressional member. It was a flashpoint moment. People were not sustained, like there was no sustained conversations about these detention centers, and you've actually taken up that mantle on two fronts, right? Share a little bit about how you're approaching this from a legislative perspective in a very bold way as a freshman member of Congress, and then you've also not stopped going to the Delaney Hall. In fact, there is sustained protest happening at that Delaney Hall almost every single day.
Yeah, so Delaney Hall has been at the forefront of chaos since last May. I mean, each and every day there's something else happening there. We, saw pregnant women being detained and was miscarried inside this facility. We see them not getting adequate food, not getting adequate medical care, many of them being held against their will. We've had a detainee die within 24 hours of being in this facility, a healthy Haitian man who was from my district who went in less than 24 hours, came out in a body bag. These are the things that we constantly see at Delaney, in addition with a whole host of other things. But one, I continue to show up to do oversight, right? I think that their goal is to like scare me away from showing up, from doing my job, from checking on my constituents. And I'm not going to do that. Like, right. I'm going to continue to show up. I encourage my colleagues to do so. I'm proud of the New Jersey delegation, and those who joined us too outside of the New Jersey to come and have oversight at this facility. But even those who stepped up and had more oversight in their own towns, in their states, to conduct these, oversight visits to these detention centers, because taxpayer dollars are paying for cruelty. Like we're paying for inhumane treatment of individuals. And all of these many years, United States has complained about certain countries doing this and how they're horrible governments in this. And we have become those countries. We have become that. This president is that. And it is unfair and honestly just cruel that taxpayers are fronting the bill for this type of cruelty. So that's number one, how I continue to show up. Number two, we've introduced multiple pieces of legislation to be able to combat around detention centers and what this administration is doing. One of the ones that we are really fighting hard for is to basically codify members of Congress' ability to go into to detention centers and have oversight unannounced or announced without delay. One thing they get a kick out of, and this is what happened last May, they want to hold you up. Like they'll make you wait, try to deter you from your oversight visit. In Delaney last May, Glynda, we waited over an hour and a half before they had the chaotic situation that they caused for us to get an oversight visit. Like we would not have even been there for any of that had they given us an oversight visit when we first arrived. But their goal is to do these things to make us wait and, try to delay oversight. And so one of the things that I've done is introduce legislation with some of my colleagues to say no delay. Like it's our job. We have the right to come into this facility and inspect, and you should be doing that and not pausing us in doing so.
I think that's an important piece of talking about the continuation of how we're protecting this democracy. It is a flashpoint moment, it's protest, and it's legislation. People are wondering in this moment, what can we do? There are multiple fronts. We are fighting the dismantling of voting rights. It's the anniversary of the rollback of our reproductive freedoms. We are fighting around being a country that welcomed new Americans, and we're now holding them in detention centers. So there's multiple fights, but as it relates to the multiple pressing issues, someone sitting at home feeling fatigued, because girl, I can feel that fatigued, mentally, physically, and spiritually fatigued, but still want to be part of the solution. What are some of the things that we can do to support you and support members of Congress to continue to lead boldly and fearlessly?
Yeah. So one, I get it. I get it 100%. People are exhausted. It's tiring, but I want people to understand, especially Black women, that that is the goal of this administration. They are so brilliant in strategic chaos, and to make sure that they are literally drowning you out, dumping everything they have on you at once, block after block after block. And I think we have to learn how to avoid that in some way and understand to keep our spirits lifted, and our focus on focus, because if not, you will be easily drowned out and tired from this administration. And that's what they pray and they want, and they hope that's happening. So that's number one point I want to make. Secondly, I think as it goes for me, once again I want to thank Higher Heights and everyone who is a part of this amazing organization, and even those who follow Glynda, for lifting my story up, for continuing to talk about it. As a young Black woman, in this country, it's difficult already, right? We are always in the gaps of every fight, doing all that we can, but when it comes to being lifted up and supported, sometimes that gets lost, and even now it gets lost, and we continue to see that. And so those who continue to lift up my story, I'm grateful for that. And then I'm grateful for all those who donate from down to $5 to more to help us fight this legal case, because this is also, it's two things I'm doing. It's one, trying to stand up for every member's right to have oversight, and then number two, I'm trying to not go to jail. Like, I'm trying to make sure that this administration doesn't succeed when trying to convict me and send me to jail, because one, it's wrong. Two is because I want to continue to do my job. I have a family, I have a daughter, I'm expecting one baby on the way. And it's just, I don't want to be in jail. Like, I should not be in jail for showing up to do my job. And I'm fighting for both of those things. So grateful for all of those who can donate. And I think people should ultimately find the things that matter most to them of what's happening in this administration, right? They should get in that lane, right? We talked a lot about this after Kamala lost. We were just like, oh my God, we're devastated. Where do we go from here? In so many conversations, we talked about us not going to sleep in a moment, right? Us finding a lane that fits best for us, getting in that lane and standing. There's a lane for everyone. Like, no one has to be left out. So rather it's reproductive rights, rather it's healthcare, rather it's immigration, whatever it may be, find that lane and drive in on it. That means as simple as using your platforms to share stories, to share what has happened, and share what many of my colleagues have introduced legislation to work on. How do you get other members, or do a support call group where you're calling other members of Congress to say, hey, we like this bill, get on this bill, or bringing attention to it. So I think folks just have to do the bare minimum of just that, to make sure that they're engaged. That would go a long way. And lastly, we got to prepare ourselves to vote, right? I mean, we are seeing a lot of decline in numbers of people coming out to vote. November's election is right around the corner, and we have to make a plan to vote, not just for ourselves, but all of those within our circles and our communities. Like, once again, we cannot, and we cannot afford in a moment to fall asleep in this time, because this is what they want. And if that happens, we're in worse trouble than we are in right now.
Well, it takes bold leadership to lead in this moment. Your charge is that every single one of us are bold leaders. It is determining how we are going to spend our time, talent, and treasure in this moment to fight not only for this democracy, but to protect Black women. We are in a posture of in defense of, and part of that in defense of this democracy, in defense of our community, in defense of our homes, and in defense of Black women. It is Black women like you, LaMonica McIver, that provides us with the information we need to fight in this moment, but also the inspiration to see what pressure looks like for Black women, because you are under pressure, but um, delivering brilliant ways for this country to understand that we can move to higher heights. So before we leave, I know what brings me joy: seeing that baby bump. Um, and would love to hear what brings you joy in this moment.
What's bringing me joy in the moment? I mean, definitely one is always my family, Glynda. Like I lean on them so much to really kind of take me away and take me out of the space of this chaoticness that I'm working in each and every day. It's my beauty 10-year-old who is just 10 going on 50 at this point, but she is such a joy to watch her grow and really excited about expanding our family and bringing, another baby, in life to me, carrying and having the responsibility of delivering another good human into this world. It is part of activism, it is part of resistance, and it's a part of joy. And so, really, just thankful to God that I'm able to do that, and looking forward to all the more joy that comes with that.
Right. Well, thank you, Congresswoman LaMonica McIver from New Jersey. Stay tuned. We will keep everyone updated about the work you are doing in Washington, the impact that you're having, and an update on the fight you are in. And know that you are not in this fight alone.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Higher Heights.